Before we begin, guys, if you want to grab our supplements, I truly believe they're the best supplement in the world for men. Everybody who's used them has given me amazing reviews. Sold over 22,000 units now. There's worldwide free shipping. And if you want 10% discount, you subscribe monthly and you'll get 10% off. If you want to watch the shows on our stream platform, the link is below. We've got documentaries and series on there. Really interesting stuff. There's a new documentary coming out very soon called Fatherless Generation. Just putting together the final bits of that. If you want to get our course, these are all the things that I can't really talk about openly on YouTube. You know, things like attracting women, life setup, framing, you know, all the things that Dan Bilzerian did in order to set his life up. I'm doing one very soon, maybe even tonight or tomorrow, on Leonardo DiCaprio and how he does it. I've put a lot of my own stuff in there and whatnot. That's available. You can pay $69.99 or £17 per month for 5 months, so that makes it very easy. And then finally, guys, 1M House. This is revolutionizing the men's industry in general. I think this is the future of members clubs and this industry. If you want to check that out, the link is below. 1mhouse.com is where we've bought houses all around the world where you guys can stay. Access to a pool, communal areas, you know, you've got spa, you've got offices, you've got podcast and meeting room, access to a high-level network, you know, bedrooms where you can stay at these properties. We've gone over and beyond with this idea. So if you want to check that out, it's application only now. We've already got all the members that we required. So application only, submit your application, say why you'd be a good fit for the house, and we'll get back to you within around about a week. So that is £3,000 per year. But guys, revolutionary. It's changing the game. So now into the video that you came here to watch. Okay then, guys, welcome back to another video. This video is going to be a lot quicker, which isn't standard for this channel. But I want to talk to you guys about evolution during good times, and very few people do this, and it actually links in with the progression bias, which I'm gonna make a separate video on soon because I need to go into detail about it again. I've got a lot more stuff to say. But you will, you know, every moment in your life that's good, you know, that something's going well, you're making money, you're on a high and whatnot, that's when it's probably most important to be thinking about the future. Now, can you celebrate? Yeah. Can you live in the moment? Yeah, of course you can. You can thrive when you're where you're at. But you always need to be thinking, are we thinking too small? Me and my business partner literally had this discussion this morning. We were like, this is going so well. I think we're thinking too small. How do we get bigger quicker? Because 40-year-old us will sit there and go, damn, we could have taken this a little bit further. We had an opportunity. We had it. We were in the moment, and we only went this far when we could have gone this far. We're already thinking about this, which is the progression bias. What will 40-year-old me want? What will 50-year-old me want? Because people are always stuck in what do I want right now? So they very much set targets for where they are right now. You know, our 22-year-old me wants, you know, a nice new BMW and a girlfriend. And it's just like, you're going to earn $2,000 a month if you're aiming for that sort of stuff. So you need to be thinking, at 40, what will I want? I want, you know, millions per year because I'm gonna want to be working on this, and this. What type of guy am I gonna have to be to get to that point? It really helps, and there's a massive importance, and nobody talks about it in terms of evolving whilst things are going well. And do you know why nobody talks about it? Because it's almost destructive. I'll give you the perfect example because I've taken a lot of flack for it. The amount of times people have said to me, Chris, your YouTube is great. You're making a lot of money off YouTube. Things are going well. Why are you ruining it? Why are you disrupting it? Why don't you just put the stream platform projects on YouTube and not do something like 1M House? Why don't you just put ads on and just focus on... Because it's going great right now. And I think like people won't understand that. It's quite a hard concept to get your head around. But whilst things are going well, it's so much easier to evolve. And then, you know, could you imagine the situation where you go... Okay, everything's gone wrong. Everyone assumes when you're doing something new that everything's gone wrong and you're trying to, you'll panic, whatever. I do things when it's going the best it's ever been because then it's so much easier because you know it's going to cost a lot of money. It's going to take a big investment to do the next thing. And I also know that everyone else isn't thinking of it. I know that 99% of the YouTube industry are currently sat there going, how do I make more money? I do more videos. Like, That's pretty much as far as people go. I'll create a new course. Like, it's very hard to be a creative individual. You pretty much just copy what other people have done. And you guys have probably noticed, like, supplement, streaming platform, 1M House, like, I've always done new stuff. I got my own book published. Like, I'm doing stuff with this industry that hasn't really been done before. And that's because I like to evolve. I like to stay ahead of the game. I've always said to you guys for years, like, when I first started, I always said, when I reach my male advantage years, I want real life physical businesses. I want to be able to touch a store, touch a house, touch something, like, touch the building. Like, right now, I'm picturing in a shopping mall, like and I don't think I'm going to do this, but, you know, when I was younger, this was what I was picturing, like a shopping mall with, like, the First Man name, you know, a whiteboard, First Man in black. It's like a massive store, First Man gyms. Like, that's how I was dreaming. And people would say to me, why? You're making good money off YouTube. Like, why don't you just stick or twist, but why don't you just stay in that zone? Why don't you just keep doing what you're doing? But it's the quickest way to die. And I'll tell you guys some home truths right now. I think YouTube's dying. I don't know if YouTube in general is dying, but I do think this industry in particular is dying. I think the men's industry, the manosphere, the red pill stuff, I think is dying massively. I don't think people are as interested in this sort of content as they used to be. I think that's widespread. I think everybody's views are coming down. Everybody's suffering. Some people won't admit it. Some people will. But that's normal. I predicted it about 2 years ago. And 2 years ago, I started working on different ideas. I started putting things together and seeing where this was headed. And, you know, the Tates came in and just saturated the market, took it as high as it could go. All these Tate clones came along. Everyone jumped on the bandwagon, saw an opportunity to make money. And it's just oversaturated the industry. Just like OnlyFans is going through the same thing. Just like superhero movies are doing the same thing. Like, this industry is dying. And anybody who goes, I know what to do, you're just flogging a dead horse. Like, you are swimming upstream and you're going, I'm not getting anywhere. I know what I need to do. I need to swim harder. And it's just like, sometimes you're just banging your head against the wall. Like, it's not going to work. And that is why it's good to evolve in the good times. Like, when things are going really well, you're making the most money of your life. Everything's happy. Everybody's celebrating. You've got great people around you. You're like, okay, we need to go further. What's the next thing? How do we push this? How do we cement this? How do we make this permanent? Because what you'll see now is on YouTube. And I'll get away from YouTube because most of you aren't YouTubers, so it's a bad example. But what you'll see now is almost like desperation in people's content when they'll try everything. They'll become, you know, like a Joe Weller, who I actually like. I respect him. I think he's one of the first ever guys to do amazing content. And he was one of the... If it wasn't for Joe Weller, YouTube wouldn't be what it is today. But he's desperate now. Like, you know, they start making... Oh, I'm going to be a rapper. I'm going to make a number one hit. You know, I'm going to start boxing. Like, their desperation moves because they're like, I'm running out of cash. I need something new to do. That's when you're on the decline and you're trying to get these little peaky waves on the way. The trick is when you're doing that and it's rising, to go, what's next? So you can just keep hockey sticking it. And you'll get pushed back like I do all the time. I always get, you know, why are you buying people a house? I don't understand that one. I mean, that one's nuts to me. I literally see no pushback on buying people a house and starting a members, like, but, you know, that's people. But people get annoyed when you're not doing the same thing on repeat. But that is why the average person is broke, because they don't know how to work business. When things are going really well, that's when you push. You know, when things are going badly, that's when you consolidate. You consolidate, but you've already reinvested the money. You've already made your push. You got to position yourself beforehand. It's like driving. You go into the corner, you position yourself. You change gear before the corner or after the corner. You don't change gear in the corner. And that's what people do. They're changing gear in the corner, slowing down. Oh, we got to adjust. We got to change. And it's like, you know, you either keep doing what you're doing, you come out the corner and then you change gear. Or before you get to the corner, you change gear. And that's what I do. I change gear before the corner. And I'm like, right, get ready for this. When we come out the other side, we're going to fly. And nobody does it. It's really, really weird. Like, nobody evolves in the good times. And I'll give you another good example that you guys can use, actually. You know, when you're dating a girl, you first start meeting her, you develop feelings early on, like you shouldn't be doing this, but this is what every guy's been in this situation where you develop feelings early on. And you're like, oh, I think she's the one. I think she's great. I'm going to go over and beyond. I'm going to start spoiling her and stuff like that. And then she doesn't like you all of a sudden. She's just like, oh, I'm put off. This guy's kind of soft. He's a bit feminine. And then you get the opposite effect. They're getting a little bit of success. Let's say, it could be 9-to-5 job, right? Let's use that as an example. You get success in your 9-to-5 job. You get a higher wage, things are going well. What do? You go out for more dinners, you start partying, you go out with the guys after work, and you get a little bit lazier, you get a little bit sleepier, your energy levels are lower, you're not taking it as seriously as you used to, you're not doing the same checks, you start getting sloppy, making mistakes. Then things go on the decline and you go, oh, I'm going to pick them up again, but you've lost momentum. It's the same with the gym. I went out this summer, got a little bit fat, I was drinking a lot, I was eating whatever I wanted, I had fun this summer, I had fun, I had a little relax. And then they're like, well, Christmas is coming up, I'm going to relax again, it comes around to like March, and like, I better get in shape. You're literally on the decline, you're doing that, you're coming down, you're at the lowest you've ever been, and you're trying to come back up. It's so much harder. The best thing to do is, I'm in great shape, summer's coming up, I'm going to really push now. I'm going to do 2 training sessions a day. Like, how much easier is that? But people don't do it. People don't get, things are going good. I want them to be great. I want to keep pushing. I want to push in those, pushing in good times is a weapon. It's like a guy who's got crazy talent in a sport. He could easily be like, well, I'm already the best player on the team. Like, you got crazy talent, then you push. Like, that's when you get crazy results. And nobody does it. And like I said, the YouTube world's about to crumble. This industry is about to completely fall apart. Everyone's trying their best, bless them, and they're coming up with new ideas and they're trying to do new things. Like I said, you're flogging a dead horse. Like, you can't be you can't be somebody who's doing everything. You can't be somebody who's just like, there's only one like Logan Paul, KSI. Like, those guys found a niche where they could do a bit of everything and keep going. But for the average person, you're not going to be able to do that. It's just not going to be able to work. If you keep jumping from thing to thing and trying to find, like, how do we make more money? Sometimes you just got to completely pivot. And I've been doing this for 2 years in the good times, planning my exit strategy. I've been saying to you guys for 2 years, ever since last May. So now, so obviously it's May 1st. So 2 years ago today, roughly, you can go back and check the video. It was in May at some point, but it's roughly 2 years ago. And I was saying, I don't know if I'm going to be on YouTube much longer. I'm coming up with the next thing. And everyone was like, why? I thought things were going great. They were. That was the most money that we'd made in, since the start of that business. That was the most money we'd ever made. It was absolutely raking in at that point. Like, I didn't even have to do anything about it, and it would just come in. I would wake up, I wouldn't work, and it would be like $3,000 in the bank account every single day, residual, without me having to do anything. I was planning then. I was like, how are we gonna take this to the next level and make it sustainable? Like, let's say you're a fitness influencer. And you're known for being like handsome and shredded, and you're like 21 years old, and you skyrocket up, and everyone's watching your shit. What happens in 4 years' time when those same guys that watch you are like, I'm getting on my own life now, and I'm actually in shape myself, so I don't really need to watch your content. Like, you're a cool guy, I love what you did for me. I don't really need to watch you anymore. Some have got kids, some have got girlfriends, most have got in shape, most have got a job, got on with their life. Now, I remember that guy was cool. I used to watch his content. Like, I used to watch every Ty Lopez video. I used to sign on late night, watch his seminars. We're doing a special thing, and I was like, oh, I've got to be in. I can't. If I miss out, I won't be successful. Today, I'm like, I think the guy was a little bit of a scammer. He gave some great advice. I learned a lot of him in terms of marketing, and there's a few little things that changed my life. But I'm like, yeah, the guy was potentially full of shit, but it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? I've just evolved. But even if he wasn't, I wouldn't watch his content today, because I'd be like, I don't need it now. I'm at a point in my life where I've got my own things going on. I don't really need it. There's someone else I could benefit from. There's another book I could benefit from. Do you know what I mean, guys? So, things evolve and things change. And if you go, this is what we've got, let's cling on to it. It's like having one woman, and you're like, let me cling on to her. If I lose her, I'm in trouble. That's what everyone's doing. Whereas let's say you've got one woman, and you're still kind of like, you're in a relationship, but you're still flirting and talking and practicing with other people. You're not doing anything, but it's going to keep you sharp. You're always going to have something to move on to. Worst case scenario. It's the same in business. It's the same in life in general. You've always got to be thinking, in 10 years' time, where will we want to be? Like, and here's the kicker that I said before. In the good times. But everyone gets distracted. They get into like a little woo-woo land where it's like, Oh my God, I love her. I think like it's that shit, but in business. It's that shit, but in life. It's that shit, but in your 9 to 5 job. Things are going so well. I'm going to get a Ferrari on finance. And it's just like, oh God, do you know where that ends up? If you're not on top of your game, like you've now acquired bills that mean you're now under pressure. You don't want that pressure. You don't want that stress. You need to be in a situation where you go, things are going really well. Everyone's smiling. My staff are happy. We're all partying. We're all having a couple drinks. And you're sat there going, yeah, but what's next? Do you know what? When Real Madrid, I think they won 2 Champions Leagues in a row. And then in the changing room, literally like 10 minutes after they've got the trophy, I think it was Ronaldo, Marcelo, Ramos, and somebody else, right? They're all going, we could do this again next year. And they did. They won it again next year. That's the mentality that I'm talking about. Like in the best time possible, they're going, but we could do this again. Like we're that good, we could do it again. Like think about how young we all are. Like look at the team. There's no reason we can't do it again next year. That is the mentality I need you guys to have. It's the mentality I've got every time things are going great. You know, like 1M House right now is thriving. It's going great. We've got a massive event that's happening today, which you guys will probably find out about later. You'll probably see it on YouTube somewhere. I'm thinking in the cafe earlier with my business partner, we had a gym session, we had a leg session, went to the cafe, and we were sat there and we're like, we're not thinking big enough. We need to go again. We need to keep pushing. Like, this is good, but like, I think we could get a couple £1 million London house, you know, or like office building, commercial buildings, and then we can turn it into something even better than what it is right now. And that's the message, guys. When things are going well, when you're making the most money of your life, when you're on top of the world, you got to stop yourself, control those emotions, and you got to take a deep breath and go, but what's the next step? How do we go again? How do we push this further? Like, how this is going great. I'm an OnlyFans model and I'm making 10 grand a month, but then you got to stop and go, how long can this realistically last? Like, that's what you want to be. You want to be the guy who's got, you know, an extension plan. You want to be the guy who's got, like, longevity is king. I've often said to you guys, I would much rather be like a normal 9 to 5 worker with a decent job, like he's in management and he's making 80 grand a year, than be the guy, you know, and he does that for 50, 60 years, makes 80 grand a year for 60 years. I'd rather be that guy than the guy who makes like $1 million in 1 year and he's ranting and raving about it. I'm a baller. I'm living this great life. And then after that, everything falls apart and he has to go and get a 9 to 5 job. Like, you'd much rather be the other guy. Like, the true definition of wealth for me, from what I've seen around the world, is people in their, like, late 40s, 50s, 60s, above, whatever. They're usually a couple. The man's earned, I don't know, like, 80 grand a year, and the woman's been doing 40, 50 grand a year, something like that. She could be doing the same or more. But let's just use that as an example, 80 and 50, and they've been doing that for, like, 30 years. And they've just been stacking the money away. They've been buying stuff. They've been like, those people are always caked. Now, ideally, you want to be making like 5 million a year every year because like that's obviously a better situation. But those people are usually the ones that you know, have the best possible lives. They own their house outright. Their kids have gone off to uni. They've been super successful. Like they've got everything. Like you look at them and you're like, your life is sorted. You got money in the bank. There's no stress. There's no worries and whatnot. The reason they're in that situation is because of consistency. Just consistent earnings year after year. And this is why, for you guys, when it comes to business, 9 to 5 job, whatever it is, you just got a promotion, you're on a high, you're celebrating and whatnot. You need to stop and think, okay, what's next? Like, where does this go? Like, let me put together a 5-10 year plan. Like, is this company actually, I got this promotion, but is this company going to be here next year? Like, this is great and all, but do I need to start thinking about applying for another job before I get left behind? That thinking constantly. If you start getting all, you know, rose-tinted glasses and all lovey-eyed and, you know, dopey, that's the term here. You start getting dopey on success. You get high on your own success. You start going, oh, yeah, I'm great. I've achieved all this. This is amazing. Look at me. I'm balling out of control. I'm eating at the nicest places. I'm dating the most beautiful women. It's like life will just humble you. Will just slap you in the face. So you need to be planning in the best of times. Like Ronaldo, Marcelo, Real Madrid. You know, Tom Brady with a documentary that I watched, they'd win. He'd get home that night and he'd be calling people saying, next season, we need to do this again. Here's what we need to do. This is the plan. We need to improve on this. It's necessary. It's necessary, especially in business. Like right now, I'm going, okay, YouTube was great, helped a lot of people. Supplements, everything that we did, great. It's created something for me. It's fantastic. I've been planning for 2 years, kind of what's the next thing. We've now done 1M House streaming platform and a few other things outside of that you guys don't know about. Put all that in place. And I'm like, right, I've set myself up nicely for concrete success. I'm secure. I'm in my 30s. I've got everything that I require. That's given me a nice foundation. That makes me feel very relaxed and stress-free. I can take a deep breath. I'm going to have a nice life. Going to be able to, travel. I can have a family. I've got, houses around the world. I can have a real nice life. But I'm always thinking, like, what happens if that went wrong? What if that got changed? What if that rule got changed? That law got changed? How can we protect ourselves? Just putting contingency plans in place all the time. But while it's good, it's like you've got a job and you're applying for another job. You go for the interview, you get the job because you're chilled. It's really easy. Whereas like, oh, you've just been fired from a job. You try and apply for other jobs. It's fucking horrible. I've been there. And if things are going the best they've ever been, you're like, I'm going to apply for another job. Like, it just breeds positivity. So evolve in the best of times, guys. That's my advice to you. And I'll speak to you all soon.